today I am visiting expression to talk to these two people. And the reason I'm trying to speak English is because you are from the United States.
Yes, and my Swedish is not so good yet.
Yet. And you're from Russia.
I'm from Russia.
But you two are actually married.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we're married.
Yes.
I got to know you because we were at the Umeå live session when Honda was visiting.
Yes.
And then it was the last fall, and I was really struggling with the live session concept and getting you to come and visit and present your ideas. And I didn't really have an idea of how to do it in a better way. And then you two approached me.
Yes, we did.
And you told me about an idea. What was that?
So we had come to that session and we had just been finishing our master's thesis in architecture that we did together.
Yeah, sorry, because that's how you ended up here.
Yeah, correct. So we came here to Umeå to study architecture for the master's program. And in our thesis, we had looked at how to engage citizens more in the design process and in generally like the placemaking. How do you create a really vibrant, lively, attractive city and
how do you involve
social life?
People and make the process more participatory?
Yeah.
Which is like the heart of Umeå.
Yes. That was fantastic to know that something like that already exists in Umeå.
Or at least we tried.
Yeah, and then it was like a great energy to see how many people were excited about it and people were presenting their ideas, and we just felt that this great energy needs a little just push. Yeah.
And I remember you used the term social incubator.
Yeah.
And you also used a lot of words which was new to me, like regenerative design and donut economy.
Yes.
Could you just talk us through, where do you come from and how did you learn about this and how did you end up with this idea?
Ooh, that's a lot.
I know.
Well, I guess we can start from that point when we were at that live session at Umeå. Around that time, we had been studying and trying to understand what is the process and what are the support tools that help people and help places come to life. And that's this piece of regenerative design. So it's a shift in mentality, really, when you look at how do you work with participation and a community so that you don't come in and kind of impose on them a vision, like this kind of typical, maybe high up, you think you see everything clearly because you're having an overview, but you may not see the life and the bubbling up ideas in the community. So with regenerative placemaking, it's about going in and listening first and foremost. But as architects, we are very familiar with the importance of structure and how everything needs a good structure in order to stand in a strong way. And you often need a good foundation. And I think what we observed with Umeå was how could we give a foundation to these ideas so that they weren't just floating in this kind of early concept phase, but they could have some support, they could have an easy path to kind of bring their idea out into the public and engage a community. And that then connects, I don't know if I'm talking too much here, but that connects a bit to this donut economy and looking at monetary systems and our economic systems. And when we develop something, when we invest money in something, we're making a decision that's quite collective. But oftentimes the money is coming from a few stakeholders who have the big funds to develop a city or develop new businesses. And we wanted to look at models that are more distributive, where we can give agency to more people, where we can engage more people. And we found this tool called Open Collective, which was all about community crowdfunding. So making it easy for everyone to chip in, be part of a project, and to grow a community around like local ideas that are for the public good.
Mm-hmm. And one thing I really like about Open Collective is that you can run your project on the platform. So you don't have to start your own association or a company or ask an association. So in Sweden we say sänka trösklarna, lowering the barrier. Yeah, thank you. For people to like start to do something.
Yeah.
And when we talk about the social incubator, I know we had some discussions with other partners who was really concerned about you have to explain that using Open Collective, you don't need a business plan or a marketing plan or a brand.
Exactly.
You can just start, which is the whole idea.
And exactly. So it's about lowering those barriers, like you said. And at that early phase when we were first discussing how could we bring this to Umeå and how can we test this, we realized we needed to run the project. So we wanted to create a project and then run it with the same methodology. So we wanted to use this digital tool, Open Collective, to run the budget and to bring together partners and grow a community around this social incubator idea. And at that time, we were discussing what it should be called and how we should frame it. And the big piece that I think kept on coming up was that it needs to be collaborative, it needs to be participatory, we need to do it together. So we decided to call it Umeå Together. So I guess we can give a bit of a crash course here. So Open Collective is a digital platform which is enabling people to host small projects through an existing organization. So it's a little bit like Airbnb for nonprofits. So you don't have to build a whole hotel, you can just have a room that you rent out. Similarly, you don't have to start your own association, you can just join an existing association. One more crucial detail, Open Collective is transparent. So on this platform, all transactions within this group are published publicly. So you can see where the money has come from and where the money's been paid out to. And this is a really important tool for building trust and building engagement because people get excited and see what's happening.
Yeah, as well as I think it's a good practice for future ideas and future associations that kind of want to form something similar. They can see what happened in the history of the previous successes, like how they raised the money, like what kind of events they put on and what did they accomplish together. And it's nice to see results and then be inspired, and then you don't feel afraid that it's gonna fail or you feel encouraged to try.
One thing that is a bit hard for me to understand, because you are two architects, and in my head, an architect is like drawing houses and not working with funding social sustainable initiatives. What drives you? Like, how come you end up within this area?
Can I go first?
Yeah, sure. I think it came from us being in the architectural program in general and discovering what is the pathway professional-wise for architects usually. And when we were in our bachelor studies, we started a nonprofit teaching design to high school and middle school students because we discovered that design education and what it unlocks in your mind, how you think about problem solving, would be really helpful if you started in school even. So we would like to have that if we had that in high school, for example. And we would be maybe structuring our lives completely differently. And then when we started that and worked on that for a few years, we started thinking about bigger levels. Like, okay, what about how we live in general? What about what the buildings were designed? What is going to be the purpose of them? And usually it's you go to a firm, you work on commercial projects, or you work on private villas, for example. But you can do much more with this education and thinking about urbanism, thinking about how you can actually help people and work directly, not just with clients, but with citizens, and help them to reinforce their ideas and help them to feel like they can make a change in the city that they live in the village that they live in. And I think that excites us more than working in a traditional way as an architect.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of this facilitator role that an architect can often play, actually. So in the traditional role of an architect, you're responsible for managing relationships between many different actors, from kind of planning regulation side to client to funders to engineers and construction. And in this middle ground where you're trying to propose something new, bring people around that vision, inspire them to move forward, you need to be this ever optimist. And you need to hold respect for everybody's perspective, because everybody has the insights of or has valuable insights. And I think that also can really bridge to what you were mentioning earlier about this different way of working, right? If we come from the university, we have a high degree of education, we spent a lot of time honing our skills. Where do we then take that insight, knowledge, and expertise into the world? And what do we work on, right? Are we going to make a more luxurious experience for some, or can we actually maybe start to help uplift, transform, and work at almost a deeper level on things that are not so visible? And I think that comes back to this, the reason that we are working in this space where it's not traditional architecture, but it's in a sense an architecture of a social kind. It's about building structures, it's about building, like I mentioned, foundations, and it's about empowering people. Like every building is ultimately there to enable some activity. We build hospitals so that doctors can treat people. We build schools so teachers can teach people. And so as an architect, you are facilitating the creation of structures that enable something. And that skill is not unique to architecture, but it's really well developed, and something that we, as we kind of grew up and started to get interested, like in our professional role in other domains, we saw that, wow, there's actually something unique here that we can bring across boundaries. And this more interdisciplinary side of practice can actually be extremely fruitful. To begin with, we wanted to work with the municipality as this kind of governing body within Umeå that is taking a lot of responsibility for challenges, local challenges. We wanted to work with external experts that know the platform, Open Collective. So we partnered with an organization called Open Collective Europe, which is a host on the platform, as well as with employees from Open Collective Inc., which is developing the platform, and researchers and facilitators working with social processes and kind of how to engage more people in social development. And then here in Umeå, we worked with, of course, Umecom, so we partnered together, and with Companion. So we really had this, and Innovation X actually, so a smaller kind of co-working space outside of Umeå city. So we really wanted to have this diverse perspectives and bring these different angles together in this journey, right? So we were here to learn together. And of course, then we chose to take on 3 different cases, or initiatives, I should call them. And these 3 initiatives were chosen because they reflect very practical, hands-on, immediately actionable solutions to really global, big, uncomprehensible challenges. So if we think of the SDGs, so the Sustainable Development Goals, they cover topics that you feel a little like, how will I make any difference on this? How can I fix world poverty? How can I fix, hunger, or make cities more sustainable as one person or even as one company? And the answer is we can't really, but when we start to work at a local level with these global challenges, we can start to build up and take action in a meaningful way where we are. It's a really big challenge around the world. We have a lot of our global greenhouse emissions come from food production, and a lot of that is wasted. So they are trying to solve this big challenge in a really local and hands-on way, but also to address social inclusion, making events and community engagement for also newcomers in Sweden. The thing that Sarah and I always talked about was when you're in sports, there's some common thread, which is that girls are shyer or more insecure about their abilities, but usually actually better than boys. and boys are much more confident in their abilities and usually not as good. So a lot of the work of Extreme Girls is about making space, because you need to carve out a space for people who don't have that like pushing themselves to the front of the line kind of confidence yet, in order to give them the space to build their competence.
I think besides the fact that we will make the sauna and the platform and all of different furniture and everything around it from recycled materials, I think it's a little bit about internal goals as well, about wellness, about relieving stress, about working with wellness and health for the citizens. And I think that's maybe like a bigger part of it.
If you want to make Umeå better and you have some money, we are setting up a fund which will be focused on different strategic goals for the city, so that companies can support that fund either with a one-time contribution or a yearly contribution, and then that money will be distributed to local initiatives in the city. But right now, the best way to support this project or to support what we're doing is to go out and give some love to the wonderful initiatives that we've been helping. They all have some form of
Social media,
campaign on social media.
Yeah.
So check them out and maybe drop them a few kroner and join into the movement.
That's excellent.
Cringe.
No, it wasn't cringe.
No, I'm just like I was just thinking the whole time. I'm like, we didn't even explain what Umeå Together is. Like, we didn't just say like we've been blah 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 working with these cases over the last year, doing these workshops. You know.
Is this recording?
I hope so.